Well, welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Presidents Conference. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Hope you've been enjoying the event. We've got half hour on today's event, which will be today's panel, which I'm excited to be joined by a number of excellent and amazing presidents of organizations. We're going to talk about issues. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask any of the panelists, feel free to post them into the either in the event or the stage chat, and I will be moderating them. So let's start with Ashton Sequeira, is President Chartwells, which is part of Compass Group Canada. Ashton, thanks very much for being here today. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about what you do, about your organization, about your role.
Sure, yeah, thanks, Marc, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's great to connect, and I have the privilege of leading an education division in Compass Group. So Compass Group is a global leader in food and support services for various industries, almost every industry you can think of. But we specialize in four large industries: education, healthcare, corporate services, and then remote defense and offshore. And those industries exist in all of the countries that we're in, over 45 countries. In Canada, the big four, like I spoke about, within them, we have many subsectors. So inside of those four, we have sports and entertainment, we have attractions, we have different forms of education, whether it's higher education or private schools or K to 12. We also have a pretty robust facility management services business that tucks into all of those sectors, and certainly one of the more busier subsectors these days with all of the demands for cleaning and janitorial services. So we're coast to coast, and 25,000 associates pre-COVID. We had to contract a little bit during COVID, but we're excited about coming out of this, and most of our sectors starting to recover at different paces, but all of them recovering, and that's exciting as we kind of look to the next few months here.
Excellent. Thanks very much for sharing. Glenn Lott is president at Lott and Company Professional Corporation. Thanks for being on, Glenn. Nice to see you again. Maybe you can do the same, a little bit about your firm and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Marc. Yeah, happy to be here. Lott and Company is an accounting firm dealing pretty much exclusively in the owner-manager world. So we're dealing with small and medium-sized businesses. We kind of joke we're the big little accounting firm, because a lot of small accounting firms that deal in our market are, a couple staff per partner. We're 16 people, so we've grown quite a bit over the years, and we're serving various industries, a lot of service industries, it's been a very busy year this past year and a bit, helping all of our clients out with various things, and getting all their government programs applied for, and that sort of thing. We're deal with that, and we also are involved with our clients in helping their financial planning, retirement planning, estate planning work. So that stuff keeps us busy year round, no matter what the economy is doing. So.
Excellent. Great. Well, thanks for being on today. And Jenny Alfandary is president and CEO at Westario Power Inc. Thanks very much, Jenny, for being here. And same thing, if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself and the company.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. So I'm president and CEO of Westario Power. Westario Power is an electricity distribution company, a utility, as it's known. So we serve 24,000 customers, and we serve 15 municipalities. And as of recently, we're on a path of growth. So we also open holding. So we have a group of companies that does electricity distribution, but we also grow. And we build on pillars of business growth, operational excellence, and community prosperity.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here, Jenny. So Ashton, over to you. Obviously the story has been COVID and the pandemic and so on. We don't have to revisit that, but just kind of what leadership qualities do you think has helped you over the course of the last year, and what is currently helping you, and what do you see in the future that is going to be important for you as a leader of your company?
It's a great question. I think the continuous learning theme that kind of overarches all of the different qualities that it takes right now, the collaboration that we've had to really expand on. Even we were a collaborative company pre-COVID, but to have to think about the future and realize that as an individual, one person's never going to have all the answers, but as we bring in more into sort of the thought process, collectively we'll be able to find them. And so I think that was one of the, from a vulnerability perspective, just realizing there's no way I or a few of us would be able to get ourselves through this, that we had to open up the tent and bring in everyone inside to really contribute. And so I think the collaboration that we have done and that we will continue to need to do going forward, I think is really important. Underpinned also with all of the other qualities that everyone has had to display, whether it's courage or resilience and optimism, guided by some data and stuff to get us to kind of think about the next few months and then the next few years after that. So that would be my initial reaction to that question, Marc.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Glenn, you're obviously running a smaller business. What's changed with you from a leadership perspective, from navigating through the waters?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is I think the communication and keeping contact with the staff primarily. We've got about 2/3 of our staff working from home. The management team is pretty much here in the office because we have our private offices and we can distance and all of that. But it's a lot of the learning. And we've got a really good group and we keep in communication, but it's not the same as being there. And in our office, a lot of the learning happens on an ad hoc basis. You're working on a file and you walk out to the bullpen and people, what's that about? And so it just kind of happens. So that's harder to do when you're remote, so we use Teams and weekly meetings on updates and we pick up the phone, we put a new phone system in to make it easier to get people directly on their cell phone and all of that. But it's still not the same as being there and actually working through. And it's kind of the same on the client side. We do a lot of complex tax planning and that, and it helps through Teams and virtual meetings, but it's still not the same as being in the room together. And where you can, when we're dealing with complex issues, our clients don't understand the technical part of it often. So you get more of a feel for that when you're together, and I need to explain that in a different way, and I think the client feels more comfortable asking when you're together. So those are a bit of the challenges with it. We're get through it all, but that part is missed a bit, and certainly as you bring on new people and that, it is a little more of a challenge to get that camaraderie going when you're not in the same space.
Absolutely, yeah, good points. Jenny, you must have similar issues with culture, and how do you maintain that culture, people working from home? What can you share with other presidents that are watching in terms of what has helped you, what you would suggest doing, other tips?
So we do have some similarity, but we a little bit different. So we're essential services, and electricity is a bloodstream. It's impossible to stop even for a couple of hours. And don't speak because a lot of organizations took some days or weeks to adjust. We did not have this luxury. So we have to adopt very fast. That's on the positive side. So majority of my team still, and they have to continue to be in a very safe environment. And yet from the management perspective, we need to support them to make sure that they have everything necessary. So we have to adopt very fast. and it requires how we change our policy, how we change our software. In a way, it also was a catalyst to go quite fast with some technology projects to provide opportunity to be more productive and effective. Still speak about this is definitely a social aspect. So, and how do you lead essential services company when you have your front staff and they still have to be on field? In a way, they're also endangering their own life. So how do you support, how do you provide mental support to them? How you make sure they have everything necessary for them? It's very sensitive. It's also very important, and I highly appreciate my very knowledgeable and dedicated staff.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. If you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panel this afternoon, Ashton Sequeira is president, Chartwells Compass Group Canada. Glenn Lott is president at Lott & Company Professional Corporation, and Jenny Alfandary is president and CEO at Westario Power Inc. So if you have any questions as well, feel free to share them in the event or in the stage area, and I'm happy to moderate them. So Ashton, maybe I'll put this out to anybody, and that is just a little bit about maybe onboarding and how that's changed for you, and maybe some things that you've hired somebody and you're bringing them on, and have you just had people work from home? How do you get them in? Maybe a little bit less for you, Jenny, because you're essential, but maybe some tips, maybe some thoughts that's worked for you, maybe that you're comfortable sharing with others. So Glenn, you mentioned that you had hired a number of people through the course of last year, so just curious if you can share anything from it, any of you.
Well, I can take this one. So
Sure.
Just recently was very interesting article on LinkedIn, Meet Your CEO on Zoom. That was focusing how someone in the leadership team starts on Zoom and how challenging it is. So, and as I mentioned to you, we're in a growth pattern right now. So we're hiring a lot, we're interviewing a lot. But how do you hire someone for VP role? And my team was very careful and cautious. They say, how do we hire someone on Zoom that we never saw? So when we speak about essential services employees, that's very straightforward. They come, they do the test. You can see them in the action. But leadership is a little bit different. So it's two stages. You ask about onboarding, but I think the process of hiring itself introduced quite a lot of challenges, number one. And number two is really onboarding. How do you make this all social interactions? It's much easier to stay in contact with people that you knew before. So you know their likes and dislikes. You know how to talk to them. You know this kind of personality. When you're onboarding someone new, it's much easier to get lost in this more formal conversation, never having an opportunity to bond. If you cannot go anymore to lunches, it's much harder to go and just pick up coffee or meet someone in the kitchen. So I think this social aspect and mental health, we did not touch that, become three aspects of leadership that we really need to watch for that.
Terrific. Ashton, anything to add on that?
Well, I think the question around onboarding and how we bring people back, there are a few themes that I think are sort of overarching issues and things that we need to focus on as we come back. Safety, it starts with safety. I mean, safety isn't going anywhere. There's going to be a consumer expectation. There's going to be an employee expectation. That's obviously already happened over the last 12, 13 months, and that's going to continue to be sort of the number one concern and the number one addressable area before we do anything else. Then you think about the workplace or the environment, if it's not a workplace, but maybe it's a school or a different type of site, whether it's an attraction or even an amusement park or a recreational facility. And you think about the work from home versus the back to in-person officing. And none of us have a crystal ball, but I think when you think about all of those aspects, you think about the experience. What was the experience when we were all in offices, and now what is this experience going to look like in this hybrid model? And who knows? I mean, we don't really know how everyone is going to utilize the office environment when we start to come back. And, many countries and many companies have already started to do that. I think it's more about, if you think about the technology that we need and the IT requirements to ensure that, whether you're working from home or you're working at, you're in your office or in your traditional space, that you still have that same experience. And so, the technology that is required for that, the collaboration that's required for that, the engagement that's required for that is really important. And then lastly, if you think about the people, and Jenny talked about it and Glenn talked about it, I mean, everyone has been through so much. And now, yes, we're excited to be able to hire thousands and thousands of people, but everyone is coming back in a different way. And what we've seen is that, and what we're hearing, and I think it's very interesting, is that the desire for more purpose around your work, more meaningful work, is really becoming an emerging theme. And, the Gen Zs and the millennials were already pushing the envelope on that and really focusing on how can they get purpose while they were at work. But now we're seeing it with the Gen Xs and the boomers. And I think that's really interesting. So companies thinking about how do you make sure that the work that everyone is involved in connects to the overarching company objectives and that there's purpose behind what everyone is doing when they come back, I think is really, really important. And then technology underpinning all of that. So, how do you drive optimization? How do you drive connection? How do you drive pace? I think for us, those are the themes we're thinking about right now.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Glenn, technology-wise, what changes have you had to take into account over the last year?
Yeah, and we were already well on our way technology-wise. We had our systems in place to become virtually paperless. We just hadn't made the last couple of steps, and this, everybody going home all of a sudden forced us to make those last two, couple of steps in a much sooner manner. But yeah, so that was, it's all the interactive, we still have lots of clients that bring paper in, so it's getting things scanned, getting them to an electronic format so that staff can work on them at home. So you still have those challenges, but yeah, we made sure we had those systems in place ahead of time. We had it that our staff could work at home prior to, just hardly anyone ever did, right? It was typically the parents, right? The moms would, oh, my kid is sick today or has a doctor's appointment. So we would say, yeah, just work at home. And we were already set up that way so they could work virtually. So that transition wasn't a big deal for us, but fortunately we did have that. And yeah, I think going forward, I think the staff they miss the social interaction. And so I think to a large degree, they'll want to come be back in the office once they're comfortable. But I think we'll see more working from home more regularly, certainly. Some of the things they do, like the flexibility and that. So I think we will see more of that. But yeah, and it's that social interaction. That was, some of our worries about staff being isolated. There's one that lives on her own, and she was, just not leaving the house. And so, we made efforts to keep in contact with them. We used to do the birthday cake thing. So I'd buy cupcakes and drive them to their house and on their birthday and things like that. Mother's Day, delivered flowers to them. Instead of just getting delivered, I would deliver them. And so getting a chance to say hi and how are you doing and having a little chat and that kind of thing. And I think that was really good. I think it really did help the staff and keep their morale and spirits and just some interaction. So those kind of things, they're not big deal things, but they are right there. So it's our management team is good at that too, and keeping in touch through, we implemented the Teams chat thing so they can just, go back and forth and talk about things with each other, which is really good and helps keep that morale and spirit going.
That's great. Yeah, really good. I hadn't thought about the driving, because everybody's saying stay away from everybody, but actually going, dropping something off, that's a great idea. Birthday, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I want to talk. Let's talk a little bit about mental health, and maybe if anybody wants to share what you've done to address it within your company. You're talking more about it. You have new programs. Jenny, anything that you guys are doing at Westario?
So as I mentioned before, it's very, very sensitive border. How do you work in a hybrid environment when you have frontline employees that has to be there, and how you as a management and leadership, how you make sure that they have everything possible and stay safe. So Ashton was speaking about safety. Safety is the most important, especially in an organization like electricity or transportation, when it's one of the safety is indeed first. I think it's more how do you find more active and interactive platforms? Because when we, as a president and CEO, we try to keep communication channels, and we quite often resort to sending emails or making company meetings that online. And that's a really good first step and first approach to resolve this. But this is not an active platforms. It's kind of us speaking and someone receiving information. So we really looked at more technology advanced programs when we can have conversation. And especially when when I started, we came with new strategy. So creating new strategy, new business plan, new business cases and models to grow, that's all requires brainstorming. And brainstorming and building and creating is much easier to do in person. Upset, happy, and all of these emotions are very easy emotions to detect, I would call this. So we were also lucky that we get some relief points with lockdown, where we can really meet in the office as a leadership team. Now we have been under more strict guidelines. And yet we also try on a rotating basis to be in the office to support frontline employees. So I think it's also extremely important to understand what is the target, like what is the goal when we try to do these sessions. So I think in time when we do something and brainstorming, try to leverage being in office when it's more routine and sustainable work, to do it more working from home.
That's good. I think we've lost a little bit of we've got the audio, but the video's dropped a little bit there, Jenny. But anyways, you can hear you in the loud and clear. Maybe there's a question from Kevin here. Maybe Ashton, you can answer this one. How have your markets pushed you to innovate faster, more efficiently? What's been your approach?
Yeah, great question. The one thing that when I speak to other leaders in various industries, that is a bit of a common theme, especially with organizations that have some scale, is that the pandemic has accelerated pretty much everyone's digital journey by somewhere between 3 to 5x of what it would be. So things that were on our whiteboard that we were looking to kind of roll out and test 3 to 5 years from now, we're doing right now. And for all the reasons I mentioned earlier around efficiency and optimization and pace. And so I think that's the theme for us in terms of, it doesn't matter what area we're talking about, whether it's onboarding people, like you said, Marc, or providing services for our clients. A couple of themes on the food side that you see in restaurants and different areas already, the demand for delivery and bringing the experience to the guest as opposed to the guest coming to the experience. I think that's something that's here and will stay. And we were already really making some big strides on that prior to COVID. The need for personalization and customization, I think, is really important. There's a lot of habits that have been formed over the last 12 or 13 months that will likely continue. And that's one of those habits is around, personalization and customization. And I'd like something my way and I'm used to it. And so being open and flexible to that. I think, when you talk about menu consolidation and concept consolidation to drive, optimization. So just to, if you think about restaurants, maybe not being able to afford the same usable square footage they once did. You're taking some of that square footage off of the seating side and investing it into the kitchen side. And then you see concepts like these ghost kitchens come up, where you have 4 or 5 different food concepts under this one umbrella, where you have one team preparing all of it, but it's a very different dining experience depending on what kind of concept you're looking for. So the theme there, Marc, is technology, but not technology for the sake of technology, but how it enables us to do all the other things that I talked about at greater scale and greater pace.
Excellent. Thanks, Ashton. That's great response, and thanks, Kevin, for your question. We just have a couple minutes left here. Glenn, the budget came out this week. Got to ask the accountant in the house for some thoughts. So say, I think it was 800 pages or whatever. It was the longest one ever done. How does an average president, what do you recommend that they should do to figure out what may not apply to them, what may benefit, how far before it's legislated, and so on?
Yeah, I think it's getting these highlights, and there's the accounting firms and that are putting out summaries of what's in there. And I don't know if anyone's read it all yet. The 739 pages, I think it was. So certainly I haven't gone through each page yet, but yeah, I'm just going through all the highlights and the key things. There's lots of spending in it. The programs are being extended. The wage subsidy program. There's a new program out there for hiring. So you definitely need to get some information on that. We don't have all the legislation yet, obviously, but there's some pretty good summaries out there of what they are and how you apply. The new program is still it's a different twist on the wage subsidy one. So if you qualify for the wage subsidy, you're going to qualify for this hiring program. So that's the key is looking at that, especially if you are looking at bringing on new staff or that, then this hiring program might work out for you. They were kind of the key things from the small business side or the small medium size side that I've seen so far in it.
Great. Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing. So just going to wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for coming to the Canadian Virtual Presidents Conference today. Today's event was presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and powered by Event Logic with a K.ca. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panelists, Ashton Sequeira, president of Chartwells Compass Group Canada, Jenny Alfandary, president and CEO at Westario Power Inc., and Glenn Lott, president at Lott and Company Professional Corporation. Let us know how you like the event. We will be sending you a survey within the next 24 hours to complete. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, things that we can improve upon for future events. I want to thank all the speakers, again, the panelists and the team as well. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, Alex, Rachel, Anne, Sandra, Sarah, and Carla, for example. I want to thank TorontoJobs.ca. If you have any staffing needs, feel free to reach out to us at sales@TorontoJobs.ca. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, check out TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca. I also want to thank Schooly Mitchell. Schooly Mitchell reduces costs on your business services, telecom, credit card processing, shipping, waste, e-signature, and electronic logging devices. So make sure to visit them, Schooly Mitchell. EventLogic.ca. If you'd like to sponsor, exhibit at, or speak an upcoming event, visit the website. Again, EventLogic with a K.ca. And if you'd like to have your organization and services highlighted, we have speaker, sponsor, and exhibitor options available. Feel free to visit the website at EventLogic.ca. They have a great team to promote you and your organization as well. And I wanted to just share some upcoming events that we have. I'll just post them in the event chat here so that you know a list of all upcoming events is showing there on that link. But there's also the Canadian Sell Your Business Conference happening on Thursday, April 29th. The Toronto Entrepreneurs Virtual Conference happens on Wednesday, June 16th. And the next edition of the Canadian Virtual Presidents Conference happens on Thursday, June 24th. And you can visit all our links at TorontoJobs.ca on our link tree, which I'm posting right now as well. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and the link is in the chat button as well. Now we do tack on an extra 10 minutes at the end of this event, so you still have some time to network through our speed networking, visit our expo and more. We also have some polls, so one-click answer. All you have to do is just go into the event area and you'll see the polls. And I want to thank you very much to the three of you and to all of you for watching. Have a great day, stay safe, and let's hope things get back to normal as we continue on through this year of 2021. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you for the invitation, Marc.
Thank you.